Oh. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm back. I'm back. It's been a minute as it goes. I'm going forward promise you two things that I can't make promises and I'm not going to. And I'm going to try to be less ranty. Last couple episodes I was a little ranty. Maybe you didn't notice. Maybe you liked it. I think people might like it that I go off on ranty stories and speak from experience with emotions, but try not to do that so much. Although this episode may be controversial, but I like it. So it's been a minute since I've been gone. I do this for free, for fun. I only do this because I have students and friends that will see me in person and say, hey, I listened to your podcast. I like this episode. It helped me do this. And that's why I do it. So I was feeling away where I'm like, hey, I haven't recorded in a while. Maybe I haven't given up quite yet. Let's do another episode. It's a very windy day here. So I can hear Old Man Winter through the windows. So hopefully it doesn't pick up too much. If it does, I'm sorry. If it's not too bad, I'm gonna leave it. If it's pretty bad, then I'll change it. But we are getting into winter. We are getting into uncharted territory. A lot of us are feeling away with recent events, no matter where you lay, where your belief system is. And in the theme of things going on, I have some announcements to make. One thing that I would like to announce is that it is my clinic booking season. Historically, I would take my horses to facilities and teach trick riding off my horses. Going forward, they're getting older. They're in this semi-charmed, semi-retired kind of life, baby. So it's just me. But with that being said, that means that I get to work with people with their own horses. And so they get to have the skills and something to work on with their own horses at home going forward, of course, in an improved and safe environment. So if you have a host facility, a facility that you would like to host with that has a community that's interested in learning about trick riding, and especially, the easier thing that we can do with your own horses is groundwork and liberty and trick training. My goal is to help defluff the ideas behind liberty because of current events. It is not hidden material. It is known knowledge that we are going through an information epidemic. And I just sent an email out about that. And so, I might lose interest of people by saying my thoughts and opinions, but I have nothing to lose. So I'm going to be brutally honest. And I think I will gain more, and I will gain the right type of people who need to hear this and who are looking for someone to say this, is that we are in an information epidemic where people don't know what is fact and what is fiction. People don't know what credible sources are. And this happens in the horse world all the time, especially with liberty. So I'm going to rant about my background for a minute because I went to get a bachelor's degree in biology with a minor in psych. And in that, I really studied operant and classical conditioning and how an animal, studying animal behavior, thinks and feels. Okay. And then when I went to get my master's degree, I did it in performance studies, and I wrote my thesis on equine welfare, specifically equine welfare in the performing field. I have spent over 10 years, 12, maybe, whatever, working in professional circus settings under trainers who had, generations of knowledge passed to them, and things can be better, much, much, much better. There's a lot of anthropomorphism going around. There's a lot of misinformation going around. We got people riding 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, thinking that the horse can, have higher abilities of thinking, and then that puts a lot of pressure on the animals, and it honestly becomes an excuse for a lot of neglect and abuse and harsh handling. So my goal, and you know, there is an epidemic of not trusting people with education or degrees, and that is just blows my mind, because my education didn't teach me to think a different way or a certain way. It taught me to think for myself. So when we do a clinic together, I want to get my students to think for themselves, to go through the horse world with some discernment, because I have a lot of friends and colleagues, and myself included, that would just do something a certain way because someone told them to. And we should question everything. Don't just believe everything you hear, okay? I personally grew up with ladies in the barn who just went under a certain trainer and kept paying this trainer for months and months and months of training. And then they had a little stable girl ride their horse while they were on vacation. And they came back 2 weeks later and their horse was a different horse. And they're like, why did I spend all this money on this trainer who actually doesn't know what they're talking about, right? Because it's a free market. It's a free market economy. Anyone can sell you anything. Nobody needs any qualifications to be a horse trainer. Scary. And it's true. People are out there just doing a thing because that's what they were taught. And, you know, maybe they get the results. Maybe they're trying to teach a horse to lay down and they get it to lay down. But so many ways we can add to 10. 8 plus 2, 5 plus 5. So if you get a trainer that says, yeah, I can lay down your horse for you, and instead they run it around and exhaust it and collapse it, is that what you want to support? Is that a way that you think your horse has a fair, you know, voluntary, like, now I'm rambling. I told you I wouldn't rant, and I'm ranting. I'm passionate about this, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Uh, you know, the way that I have formulated my training, and I still am my own student of my own learning and my own education, is that I want it straight from the horse. How does this work? How does this not work? Oh, because we took scientific measurable data. If you read a peer-reviewed science article, there is a section in there called methods. That is designed so that you can replicate that exact experiment on your own and get similar or those same results. Okay. That's why we're promoting I'm not selling anything. I'm selling for people to think for themselves and to find the truth of the matter. I want the truth of the matter. So I'm not going to do something because some, you know, old cowboy told me to do it. I'm going to do it because we measured cortisol levels and we measured heart rates of the horses, and this, you know, increased heart rates and cortisol levels. So maybe this is not our best option. Maybe we should do something this way. And so I'm trying to share information that I took time and dug into with my schooling so that we can have a better place for horses. We can have a better place for horse owners, because there are so many days that I just want to quit. I dislike the horse industry very much, very much. I don't believe in breeding. I don't believe in buying and selling, because those are little lives. Those are little lives and little souls. There are horses going to auction and slaughter that look skin and bones. So when we're breeding more, we're just putting more out there. Same with dogs, and cats and whatnot. I don't like to think of animals as something to just make money off of. I like to think of them as enlightened beings, members of this world and the community and my family. My pets are my children. And I have friends that breed, buy, sell, and I love my friends. So I have love for everyone. I just don't love the decisions that they've made sometimes. But I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to slander anyone or put anyone down. But I am here to get people to think, and not to think what I think. Think for yourself. What are the long-term effects of the things that we're doing? So let's talk about clinics. Get a clinic book a clinic. I've had a lot of people, my clinics when it comes to horse training, groundwork, and liberty, not to boast, but they have said, I have learned more in this 1 hour of a lecture you gave me than in my 10 years of riding. Great. I want to hear that, because I'm not going to just teach the how to do something. I'm going to teach you why we do it. And the reason I am so passionate about people thinking for themselves and using scientific data straight from the horse is because people are out there selling products, right? I see it all the time on Instagram, Facebook. There's a very manipulated act going on. And then there's a voiceover of, it's liberty. You are one with a being, and the horse is working out of pure enjoyment for the relationship. And when I see that trainer and that horse working together, I know that it's just pure manipulation, pure pressure and manipulation. And I'm going to tell you something about our result-driven society, is that we want results and we want them fast. So there's a couple different ways you can lay down a horse. You can go ahead and force them to lay down. You can push and pull, and you got the ropes going through the saddle, stirrups, and over the horn and all that stuff, and you can run it around and exhaust it, and then you'll get the horse to lay down. Okay. Or you can try the least invasive way, where instead of just forcing the horse to lay down, you can ask the horse, hey, is this comfortable sand for you? Are you comfortable in my presence? Would you like to lay down? If you lay down, I have a food reward for you, or a playtime reward for you, or positive reinforcement, because I want my horses to be an active volunteer in our, I don't even want to call it training, in our educational sessions. And that's when you get that purity of a horse being interested, being enriched by taking part. And I want to reduce stress to the horse, not add stress. So how do we do that? We literally just measure stress. So, yeah, if that's something you're interested in, give me an email. I have an information packet that goes out, and I will travel anywhere. Now that I'm not limited by the horses, I can get in the car, I can get on a plane, and I can go to your facility, and we can do wonderful things together. Because like I said, I very much dislike the horse industry. I realized that, I grew up loving horses, and then I grew up, and you're kind of like taught to find something to do with horses, and these are the things we do with horses. And then I'm like, do these people even like horses? Because they're calling this one ugly, they're throwing this one away, they're putting a price tag on this one, and they're beating them into submission. I'm over it. So many times I wanted to quit, but I realized that the biggest impact I actually can make is to those people. Get into the minds of the people who are owning horses, training horses, and working with horses, because that's where the change is going to be made. Because whether I like it or not, horses working with humans are here to stay, at least probably in this lifetime that I have. So, but my clinics are fun, and it's not so ranty. Podcast is a place where you can sign off if you want. When I'm paid to do a job, I'm a little more inviting. I'm a little not so ranty. So this is my platform to rant, and I you can love it or hate it. I really don't care. I hope you like it, because I have some things that work for me. And I want people to go through the horse industry with some discernment. If you see something that seems almost impossible to get a horse to be able to do from treats, it probably is. It's probably a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's probably grand manipulation sold to you at this idea of this togetherness that you're looking for. Because if you stay result driven, that's what you will get: a result driven society and result driven trainers that don't care how you did the math, how you got there. When we work with our horse in a less invasive way, it's not go do this. It's two-way communication. Hey, would you like to do this? And maybe the horse says, not today. Oh, tomorrow I'll offer it to you. So it's a little slower. So you can't have both. All right. If you see horses that, you know, the trainer moves their finger and they haul in reverse, that's too sensitive. And that's a horse that is hyper vigilant and always avoiding pain or pressure infliction. That's why they react so quickly. So if that's what you're looking for, I can point you to 100 different trainers to get you there. But if you want a horse that's happy and feels safe and comfortable with you and wants to be there with you, they might trot off just a little bit slower from when you're asking, because they don't feel punishment coming and that pressure to have to react so quickly. Maybe they'll have some time to think about it. Maybe they'll have an opinion about it. And you're holding the space to have that, to communicate back. So it might not be a quick transition, but that's what you get. It's one or the other. If you want fast results and you want a horse that's always seeking to react quickly to avoid sudden pressure, then that's not what I'm going to sell you. I used to understand that. And now I don't jive with it, but I still have horses that ride bridleless and are comfortable and can do amazing things and do amazing tricks and stuff. So, it's about the journey, not the destination. Anyways, rant over. If you're interested in a clinic, it's booking season. My spring and my summer will get very, 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 very busy. So the earlier, the better. And yeah, now let's talk about what I wanted to talk about. So given current events, I thought, let's talk about smashing the patriarchy in the horse industry, shall we? And the different ways in which I do it, the different ways in which you can do it. First of all, let's talk about what is the patriarchy. I'm looking at my notes here. So a patriarchy is a social system where men hold the primary power, or, masculine. We don't always have to say men. We can say masculine energies or masculine affirming folks hold the primary power and privilege in society, controlling a disproportionate share of social, economic, and political authority, often with the concept of male dominance and inheritance passing through the male lines. Generally, if people are talking about the patriarchy, they're talking about politics. Obviously, we've had thousands of years of presidents and kings, some queens, but it's mostly through men or why is that word on the tip of my tongue now that I'm recording myself? Anyways, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Barbie, but my partner and I have t-shirts that look like the Barbie horses, and it says, I was interested in the patriarchy until I found out it wasn't about horses. I love it. He wears it so proudly, and I'm so glad that he does. My favorite shirt. The patriarchy is not about horses, and there's a lot of patriarchy in horses. So if you think of a lot of the trainers, the big top trainers, they're men, the ones who make it to the top, because most likely there is, gender inequality in corporations. And so these big trainers, they're a corporation that you are supporting and subscribing to. But on your local level, you will see mostly women. And that could be, it doesn't have to be cis women, just identified women. So interestingly enough, ways that we can kind of smash the patriarchy is to start to support women businesses, or, just like myself and other women out there, because on your local level, you'll see more women. When you see the big money, the big rich, big corporations, the big social media, the big websites, it's mostly men. Why is that? Because it's harder for women, just because of their gender, not the information that they're giving, not their product, not their philosophy, just the fact that they're women. however you identify as a woman, is not given equal opportunity to reach that level. So go support your female or your feminine identifying riders out there. Let's talk. I'm going to rant from, I said no ranting. I'm going to rant because the stories are good. I'm here for stories. This is something AI can't take away from us, is my face giving you a story. Okay. Let's talk about the patriarchy in where I come from in circus arts. So I think it's my strength. And there was no putting me a square, like a circle cylinder peg into a square shaped hole when I was trying to fill gender roles in circus. Circus tends to be, and I'm not generalizing, there's always an exception, but especially traditional circus, not like Cirque du Soleil, not contemporary circus, but traditional circus where it's just hiring family acts. They tend to be more gender roles, more traditional gender roles. Women wear skirts and do girly tricks, and the men come in and do the harder tricks. Okay. If y'all know me, that's not how I fly. And I got a lot of crap for it. Okay. So when I teach my camps, I will teach everyone a certain set of tricks, regardless of your gender. So if you're a man, whether you're cis or not, coming to my camps, you're doing these tricks that might be called girly tricks because they tend to be the easier ones. And that is one way that we are kind of smashing the patriarchy. I have mostly women or feminine identifying people coming to my camps just because, horses are sensitive, emotional creatures, and so are usually feminine identifying creatures of the humankind, right? So are women, so are people. So it's interesting that there are a lot more successful men at the top with horses because men tend to be aggressive and angry. And if you know anything about a horse, that's usually not what jives with them. Interesting. So women tend to be more compassionate, more emotional, more sensitive, just more into horses. But we love our men that come to camp and come for lessons, whether you're cis or trans, however you identify. If you identify as he, him, they, them, and you come to camp, we welcome you. I love it because you know that you're coming into a population that is more, majorly feminine based. And they do the girly tricks. Love that. They're okay with it. They love it. They embrace it. I love that. That's how we kind of smash the gender roles right there. But if you guys know me, you know that I stand on horses and I trick ride and I vault. Not competitive vaulting, but while the horse is moving, I hit the ground and I come back up. Vaulting from a biological perspective is difficult because we are using our pectorals and our triceps, so arms and chest, and we are letting momentum and centrifugal force take us into the air and putting ourselves back onto the horse. Now, if you are a curvy woman of smaller stature, it's hard to do because you got to hoist your hips up there. And, a lot of athletic men don't have hips. They're built like Doritos. So their center of gravity is their chest. But for a curvaceous woman, your center of gravity is like a pear down below. So it's kind of hard to do. It's more physically difficult. And that's just the nature of it. I am tall. I am athletic build. I have not had my testosterone tested, but I put on muscle very easily. I have defined muscle. I am a higher testosterone woman, which is why I am athletic. And I always have been. And it makes it easier for me. Of course, I do still work hard with my technique, but because I am a cis woman, people don't like that. We all have already had seen in the Olympics people having issues with cis women being of stronger stature and then them being called out. And this is why it is sexist, because if you are a strong woman, if you are so strong as a woman, you're a man. But there's no cap for men. So I have on my social media, because of my strong arms coming out in a tank top, I have been called a man. There's a picture of me from, I don't know, 2017, of me hugging my horse and him wrapping his head around me backstage, that one of my coworkers posted, and someone who disliked me posted, "Cute horse, who's the man?" I don't care. I'm like, good, fine. Call me a man. But that is sexist, because I can't just be a strong woman. If I'm too strong as a woman, I'm bumped into the man category. And what's too strong of a man? Nothing. A god? I don't know. So that's where the sexism lies, in being a strong woman doing quote unquote manly, masculine, harder tricks. And so what did I do? Well, in 2019, I grabbed a group of women and we did our own troupe. And there was not a man in sight. And I did under the belly and I vaulted. And we did the hard tricks. And it only lasted a year because of finances and difficulty of life on the road. But we did something, pretty historic and remarkable. And a lot of people didn't like it, and I don't care. So that is a way that we can smash the patriarchy, is if you, whether you're cis or not, if you identify as a woman, do the hard tricks. Do them. Go for it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. There's no pressure to do that. I am envious of very graceful women, because that's not me. And it's been a struggle for me. It's easier for me to ride down the list with a helmet and a shield and a lance and run at someone on a horse and try to knock them off than it is for me to put on a princess costume and walk around and be the queen. So if your role is the queen, beautiful. Mwah. I love it. I love you. We need more queens. But let me be a female knight. That's the other thing. I joust too. There's a lot of companies, because it's not quote unquote historically accurate, that don't want women to joust. Well, guess what? There's more women riders. Usually, I need to check the stats on how many women are in the sport, but growing up in the sport since I was 10 years old, there'd be like one guy to 30 women, 30 girls. There's always that one boy in the barn that everybody had a crush on. And then that's why I love the troupe I work with, Order of Epona, because we call ourselves fantasy, because we have women joust. And guess what? People love to see that. They love to see a woman joust. It's cool. It's fine. We need to keep moving forward for gender equalities in the horse world. Let women joust. Let women do the hard tricks. Let men do the easy tricks. I even hate that the easy ones fall to the women and the hard ones fall to the men. Just do whatever you want. Do what you can. Do what you like to do. Wear what you want to wear. Okay? So because I was going under the belly and vaulting, we couldn't wear skirts. We wore pants and tall boots, and we looked super sexy. And we still looked feminine and strong and sexy, and our arms are out with our muscles. And it was great. I haven't seen an act like it since. Yeah. So what are some other ways we can smash the patriarchy? Well, another, I already touched on this, but is to create safe spaces for others. So the fact that I have a lot of, people that identify as women coming to my camps, we get usually one man in a camp, and it's a safe place for them to be. We don't tease or taunt. Everyone's equal. I have kids, teens, adults of all genders coming to camp, and it's a safe place for anyone. But it is definitely a safe place for women to go and try more masculine, historically masculine roles in the equestrian world. And the things that we do and the things that I've done challenges that. I worked on one show where I was taught to stand on horses, and I did it in a way that I was taught. And then some elder in the community said, you ride like a guy. I was like, well, guys taught me. And what's the problem? If I'm feminine identify, there's 20 other girls right there who all ride the same, and I ride different. Cool. I don't want to be the same as everybody else. And it was just the way I did things. And when I first started in the industry and I worked at a dinner theater, I struggled because I was not graceful. And I received a lot of criticism, a lot of harsh criticism, because I struggled with being feminine, presenting, and graceful. And it took a lot. I had a lot of self-hatred. I had a lot of hatred to the criticism that I received. And I just felt like my tomboyishness was, under attack. And I've already struggled with self-confidence issues. Well, I went out into the world and proved myself to be a good performer and a good equestrian and a good acrobat. And I came back 12 years later, and I was congratulated by the same people. But I had to go out and prove myself. And I had to prove to myself that I don't need to prove myself. That was the thing. It's like I worked very hard, and I'm like, why am I doing this? As long as I'm happy with who I am and what I do and how I present myself, who cares? But the fact that my talent spoke for itself, I got acceptance from these people. And I took it because I was happy that I was being congratulated and finally recognized. And I don't want to carry a grudge, because there's progress and there's evolution in those people, right? It's not their fault if they have been raised a certain way and probably criticized in that same form, and they had to also grow up pushing themselves into certain boxes. And so it's progress just from that older generation to accept me for the way I present to myself and how I perform. So guess what? I was given a role of comedy, the world's tallest, other than Buddy the elf, the world's tallest Christmas elf, because I know that Will Ferrell is very tall. And I got to Roman ride, and I had this beautiful feminine costume, but it's a powerful act, right? Standing on two running horses. And so I was congratulated for the same things that a decade prior I was criticized for. And I also did strive to be more graceful, not because other people's demands, but because I wanted to also be able to be versatile. No, I wasn't chosen for the most feminine roles, duh. But I was made a space for me and where I fit. And I love that. I love that I got accepted you know, the people who criticized me before, now we're friends, and I, you know, I am not denied who I am and what talent I have. Something we can all do is, you know, respect others. Like I said, I gained respect from those people, and I didn't hold a grudge, and I respected them, and there's a space for all of us, and we need to educate ourselves. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier, my partner is a cis hetero man, and I have students who are cis men. I have non-cis men, and I welcome them too. So it's easy to hate men, but recognize your allies and recognize that we are all individuals. So if we're asking to be recognized for our individuality, you also have to give that to others. So I mentioned this earlier multiple times, but we love it when our men come to camp and can be comfortable around all that feminine energy and play fairly and play nicely. You know, everyone's an individual. These recent events have shown me in my local community that people are not their stereotype. Okay, I thought people with their stereotype would lean one way. They actually leaned the other way, even if it was potentially against their own self-interest. It's a confusing time, so just educate yourself, give everyone the benefit of the doubt, be ready to show up for other, you know, especially women, and identifying whoever identifies as women in the horse community, and recognize your allies if they are men or those who identify as men in the horse community that are not putting others down, and it's not about what the deliverance is, it's the message. Okay, so if you see whether whatever gender they identify at, if they're preaching anger, control, manipulation, that is part of the patriarchy. That's not what horses need. Horses don't need anger and frustration and control and harsh handling. Try to support matriarchal and speak up for more matriarchal themes of nurturing, sensitivity, emotion, holding space, patience, you know, working with the animal, not against the animal, because horses need that. Horses need you guys to step into those spaces and to speak out against patriarchal norms of control and power. I don't know if I have much more to say about that. I am super excited for this upcoming 2025 camp season. I said this last year, but I know for a fact, given my circumstances of my living situation, that this will be the last one in Minnesota, where we have that beautiful lake to go swimming in. So please be on the lookout to sign up for that for this summer, because it'll be the last one, unless, you know, unless my situation changes, but treat every day like it's the last one. Carpe that diem. No, don't treat every day like it's your last one. You know, have goals, plan, and YOLO responsibly. Smash that patriarchy. Gals, guys, gals, non-binary pals, ride those hard spots. Don't give a poop what the older traditional generation has to say about you and the way you do things and the way you ride. Don't let anyone say, oh, kick, 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 push, 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 give them more force. If you feel that that animal does not need more force, don't give them more force. Stand up for yourself. Do what feels right in your gut. Support women, businesses, support matriarchal nurturing to these animals, and keep your head up, because I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know, send some comments, send some subscribe, share it with your friends, and show up in those spaces being authentically you, because the world needs more of that. Your barn friends need more of that. The horses need more of that. And I'll see you next time.